Snow in Chicago didn't fall, it attacked. It slapped against windows, stabbed at cheeks, and slid ruthlessly under doors no matter how tightly you sealed them. That night, the wind howled off Lake Michigan like it had a personal grudge, rattling the loose frame of the tiny South Shore apartment where Maya sat with her swollen feet in a plastic basin of warm water. She checked the time again. 2 hours late. Her phone buzzed. "Kelvin, babe, I'm still at the office." Client dinner ran over. "Don't wait up." She stared at the message until the letters blurred. Client dinner. Right. Maya sighed, rubbed the side of her belly, and gave her son a gentle nudge. "Your dad is lying again," she murmured. "I'm just too tired to argue tonight." The baby kicked in response, a firm little drumbeat against her palm. She smiled sadly. "I know," she whispered. "Me too." The radiator hissed weakly, doing its best. The apartment was a mix of thrift store furniture and determination. Second-hand couch, chipped coffee table, cheap white blinds that did nothing to block out the cold. On the counter, 3 envelopes sat like silent threats, each one branded with final notice in angry red ink. Rent, gas, electric, all of them due. None of them paid. Her laptop bag still rested by the door from her last day in the office before unpaid maternity leave. Northbridge Media had said they were so supportive and excited for her. But the email had been clear. "We can't continue full pay while you're out this long. We'll revisit when you're ready to return." It sounded polite, businesslike, efficient. In reality, it meant, good luck surviving, though. She scrolled mindlessly through TikTok, watching other people's problems. Story times, cheating confessions. He left me and now look at my glow-up videos. Her thumb paused on a video of a pregnant woman dancing with her husband in their kitchen, both laughing. Maya locked her phone and set it aside before the ache in her chest could get worse. The clock crawled. By the time the door finally opened, it was 1:47 a.m. Kelvin stumbled in with the careful walk of someone trying not to look drunk. He smelled like expensive cologne and a bathroom he had no business being in. He froze when he saw her on the couch, still awake. "You're up," he said, blinking. "Look at that," Maya replied calmly. "I know how to sit. And wait. Wild, right?" He sighed dramatically, dropping his keys onto the table with a clatter. "Maya, please. I'm exhausted. Can we not do this tonight?" She looked at his shirt. Crisp white, slim fit. Wrinkled now like someone had grabbed handfuls of it. A faint, shimmering smear of lip gloss decorated the collar. "That client has really good taste in gloss," she said softly. "What shade is that? Infidelity pink or corporate affair nude?" He glanced down, swore under his breath, and grabbed at his collar. "It's not what it looks like." "Kelvin," she said, and even she was surprised at how tired her voice sounded. "We're both grown. Do we really want to do the 'it's not what it looks like' script right now?" He rubbed a hand over his face. "You've been so moody. Every day it's something. Money, doctors, the baby, your job. I'm drowning here." "You're drowning?" she repeated, eyebrows lifting. "I'm 8 months pregnant, on unpaid leave, in an apartment that might cut off the heat in this weather. And you're drowning?" "I didn't say you weren't going through anything," he snapped. "I'm saying I can't breathe." "So you left me to suffocate by myself?" She shot back. Silence stretched between them, heavy and sharp. "Who is she?" Maya asked finally. No yelling, no sarcasm. Just the question. He hesitated. There it was. The tiny pause that told the truth before he even opened his mouth. "Her name is Lila," he said, trying for defiant but landing on sheepish. "And she understands me. She doesn't nag. She lets me be myself." Maya's hand slipped from her belly. "And your plan," she said slowly, "was to what? Rotate between us? Sneak around? Or did you have the decency to at least pick a side?" He swallowed. "I'm moving out." For a second, she genuinely thought she'd misheard. The words floated around the room, looking for somewhere to land. "You're what?" "I moved some things this morning while you were at your doctor's appointment," he said, not meeting her eyes. "I've been staying at a friend's place. I'm going to move in with Lila. I can't do this anymore." "You packed your things," she said, "while I was checking if our son is okay. And then you went on a date." "It wasn't a..." He stopped, realizing how stupid that sounded. "Look, this just isn't working. We're toxic. All we do is fight." "All we do," she corrected quietly, "is survive. And apparently, that's too much for you." He blew out a breath. "I'll send money when I can. I'm not going to abandon my kid." She laughed, a brittle sound. "News flash, Kelvin. When you walk out on his pregnant mother, you're abandoning him too." He flinched just a little. She stared at him, and for the briefest moment, she saw their beginning instead of their end. The college boy at UIC who'd shared his fries with her in the cafeteria because her card had declined. The broke 20-somethings riding the L at midnight, huddled in one coat, dreaming about a future where they didn't have to count every penny. The man who'd proposed in front of Navy Pier in February, ring too small and hands too cold, but eyes shining as he'd said, "We'll build something together, I promise." Now his hand was on the doorknob. "People change," he muttered, as if that explained everything. "People don't change," she said quietly. "They just stop pretending." For a second, regret flickered across his face. Then he twisted the knob. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Maya," he said. He took off his wedding ring, set it on the table next to the unpaid bills, and walked out. The door closed with a soft thud. The radiator hissed. The wind rattled the windows. Somewhere upstairs, someone laughed at a TV show. Maya sat very still on the couch. Her son rolled under her ribs, then kicked hard as if to say, "We're still here." "I know," she whispered, tears finally spilling over. "You still have me." But in the back of her mind, a smaller, more frightened voice whispered, "Who has you, Maya?" The next days blurred into survival mode. She woke up, made oatmeal she could barely swallow, called the electric company, got put on hold, cried, tried again. She called Kelvin. Straight to voicemail. She texted him long paragraphs, deleted them, sent short, polite messages instead. "Maya, we need to talk about rent." "Maya, the landlord asked about your half." "Maya, I have a doctor's appointment next week. You coming?" Read receipts never appeared. His mother, who had once called Maya the best thing that ever happened to her son, responded to exactly one call. "Men get stressed when babies are coming," she said dismissively. "He just needs space. Don't embarrass us by telling everyone your business. This will blow over." "He moved out," Maya said. "He's living with another woman." "Pregnancy hormones are making you dramatic," his mother replied. "Just pray and be patient." The line went dead. Maya stared at her reflection in the black TV screen. Puffy eyes. Cracked lips. A woman who looked like she'd aged a decade in a week. She thought about going to her own mother's house on the west side, but pride held her back. Her mother had been suspicious of Kelvin from the start. The "I told you so" would be sharp, even if it came with a hug. Bills piled up. One gray afternoon, her phone rang with an unfamiliar number. She almost didn't answer. "Hello. Is this Maya Thompson?" a calm female voice asked. "Yes. This is Carla from Northbridge HR. Just checking in on how things are going with your leave." Maya bit the inside of her cheek. "Everything's fine." "Good to hear," Carla said. "One more thing. Our CEO asked for an updated list of employees currently on unpaid leave for some internal review. Your name came up, and he wanted to make sure you were getting everything you needed." Maya blinked. "The CEO? Mr. Price?" "Yes. He'll probably reach out personally," Carla added. "He's been more hands-on lately." "Oh, okay. Thank you." She hung up, confused. She had met Julian Price exactly 3 times in her 3 years at Northbridge. The first time, he'd helped her pick up a spilled coffee in the elevator and had told her, "Spilled coffee is a sign of a busy mind, not clumsiness." The second time, she'd pitched a bold change to a client's digital strategy in front of him and a room full of executives. He'd tilted his head, considered it, and said, "Let her do it her way." The campaign had gone viral. The third time had been at the holiday party. He'd approached her, glass of sparkling water in hand, and said, "I've been watching your progress. Don't let anybody dim how sharp you are. Not even you." He'd smiled, not the public, camera-ready smile she'd seen in interviews, but a smaller, softer one. Now, somewhere high above downtown Chicago, in a glass office overlooking the river, that same man was reading her name on a list. She didn't have time to overthink it. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a contact name that made her heart stop. Julian Price. She'd nearly forgotten his number lived in her phone from a long-ago late-night pitch crisis. She took a breath and answered. "Hello, Maya." His voice was the same, steady, deep, with a worn edge that made it sound like he rarely slept as much as he should. "Yes." "Hi, Mr. Price." "Julian," he corrected gently. "How are you?" It was such a simple question. It almost made her laugh. "I'm fine," she lied. Silence hummed on the line. She got the distinct sense that he didn't believe her. "I saw the HR report," he said. "I don't love the phrase unpaid leave next to the name of someone who has made my company a lot of money." She swallowed. "I understand the policy. My doctor wanted me to cut back on stress, so. And how's that working out? He asked. Terribly, she said before she could stop herself. He made a low sound, half sigh, half rueful chuckle. Do you have support at home? Her hand tightened around the phone. My husband left. Last week. He didn't gasp or fumble. He went quiet in that way people did when they were listening very carefully. I'm sorry, he said. And somehow it didn't sound empty or performative. Are you safe? My husband moved out. Safe is relative, she said, voice wobbling. The heat's barely on. The bills are late. I'm trying to stay calm for the baby, but. Her throat closed up. No more words came out. She hated this, breaking down in front of powerful people. She'd built her entire adult life around not needing pity. Maya, he said quietly, I'm going to ask you a very direct question, and you're allowed to hang up on me if you don't like it. Okay, she whispered. If money, pride, and embarrassment were not factors, he said carefully, would you stay where you are right now? She looked around the apartment, peeling paint, the drip, drip, drip of the kitchen faucet. The baby corner where she had stacked cheap diapers and discounted onesies next to a crib she hadn't yet managed to assemble. The draft slipping in under the window frame like a thief. No, she said, honesty burning on the way out. I wouldn't. Good, he said. Text me your address. She blinked. Why? Because I'm coming over. Oh, no, you don't have to. I know I don't have to, he cut in gently. My question is, do you want help? She bit her lip so hard it hurt. I don't want charity, she whispered. And I don't give charity, he replied. I invest where I see value. I protect people who were loyal to me when it cost them sleep and comfort. You've done that for my company. Let me do this for you. Her eyes blurred again. You don't even know the whole story. I know your work, he said. I know the rigor you bring to everything. I know your husband was caught siphoning from the nonprofit funds, and I fired him. And I know I didn't press charges because I didn't want to drag you into it while you were pregnant. And I know that decision put you in a worse position now. She sucked in a breath. I didn't know he was fired for that. I assumed he told you, Julian said quietly. Apparently, I was optimistic. She laughed weakly, a broken little sound. He told me he quit because the environment was toxic. Interesting, Julian said flatly. She held the phone away from her face for a second, staring at nothing. You don't have to fix this, she whispered. I know, he said. And still, text me your address. He hung up. For a long moment, she stared at the call-ended screen. Then she opened her messages and typed her address with trembling fingers. The knock came 20 minutes later. She almost didn't open the door. She almost talked herself out of it, telling herself she was overreacting, that it was too much, that she could figure this out alone if she just pushed harder. But the baby rolled inside her like he was nudging her forward. She opened the door. Julian Price looked wildly out of place in her hallway. He wore a long, dark wool coat dusted with snow, a suit visible beneath it, the charcoal fabric fitted perfectly to broad shoulders. His skin was a warm, rich brown, his beard groomed but not overly sharp, his eyes taking in everything at once. The first thing he did was look at her belly. His gaze softened. May I come in? He asked. She stepped back. Yeah. Sorry. It's not much. He stepped inside the cramped living room and glanced around. There was no judgment in his eyes, only anger that had nowhere obvious to go. He touched the window frame, felt the cold seeping in, noticed the stack of overdue bills on the counter, the half-assembled crib in the corner. How long has it been this cold? He asked quietly. It's Chicago, she shrugged. Always. Maya, he said. She exhaled. Since last month. The landlord said the system is old. They do what they can. He looked at the old radiator, then at her socked, swollen feet. This is not acceptable, he muttered, mostly to himself. It's temporary, she said quickly. I'll figure it out. I have savings. Well, had savings. It's fine. We're fine. He turned to her fully, and the weight of his attention made her go still. I grew up in a place like this, he said. Different side of the city, same drafty windows. Same radiator that only worked when it felt like it. My mother used to boil water on the stove for us to bathe in when the gas got cut. I remember exactly what it feels like to pretend that situation is fine, so you don't scare the people who depend on you. She swallowed hard. I'm not trying to pretend. I'm just tired of feeling like a walking disaster. You're not a disaster, he said. You're a black woman in America trying to make it with a deadbeat husband and a system that constantly asks for more than it gives back. That's not disaster. That's design. And I hate it. He took off his gloves and tucked them into his pocket. "You're coming with me," he said. She blinked. "I'm what?" "You're not staying here another night," he said evenly. "Pack a bag for a week. I'll send people for the rest of your things. You'll stay at my house until we figure out a longer-term plan." She laughed, a short, incredulous burst. "I can't just move into your house. Do you know how that sounds?" "To who?" he asked. "Nosy neighbors? People at work? People online? I don't make my decisions by committee. I make them with conscience." "You're my boss," she said. "It could look bad. For you. For me. We'll handle optics if they come," he said. "Right now, I care about the fact that you're about to bring a baby into a place where the heat might not work next week." Anger surged in her chest, but it wasn't for him. "I don't want people thinking I chased you," she whispered. "Like I got pregnant, then went hunting for a rich man as a backup plan. You know how they talk." "I know how they talk," he agreed quietly. "I also know this, they aren't here. They aren't the ones on the phone negotiating payment extensions. They aren't the ones whose blood pressure spikes every time the mailman comes. They aren't the ones whose ankles are swelling from pregnancy and stress. You are. So for once, let's make a decision for you, not for them." Her eyes burned. "Julian, do you trust me?" he asked. It wasn't a dramatic question. He wasn't looming or pleading. He just asked it like he wanted the truth, not a performance. She thought about every time he'd backed her risky calls in meetings, the quiet nod of approval, the way he remembered the names of interns, the fact that he'd fired Kelvin and still chosen not to humiliate her with that knowledge when he'd had the chance. "Yes," she said, surprising herself with how quickly it came. "Then pack a bag," he said gently. "Please." She hesitated for one more heartbeat. Then she went to her bedroom, grabbed a worn duffel bag, and started putting her life into it. Leggings, oversized t-shirts, the hoodie that still smelled faintly like Kelvin. She threw that back into the closet. Her prenatal vitamins. A picture of her and her mother at Navy Pier. The tiny gray onesie that said Mama's Miracle in loopy letters. She paused, holding the onesie. "We're going to a billionaire's house," she whispered to her belly. "Try not to drool on anything that looks more expensive than my entire life." When she came back out, Julian was in the baby corner, squinting at the half-assembled crib. "Whoever designed this hates parents," he muttered. She snorted. "I was going to put it together this weekend." He straightened, turned to her, and lifted the bag from her hand. "You can supervise when we assemble the new one." "New one?" He gave her a look. "You thought I was letting you bring this death trap into my house?" She shook her head and followed him out into the hallway. As they stepped into the cold, the wind bit less.